Welcome to Breaking Bread. Join us as we talk about different leadership skills and learn from leaders. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So let's get to it. Today, we're breaking bread with Jamie Coelho, Editor-in-Chief of Rhode Island Monthly and author of Rhode Island Food Crawls. Well, hello.
Hi, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having us, Jamie. This is, we've been trying to plan this, and I'm so glad that this has finally worked out because it's, your schedule is, it's busy. You've got a lot going on.
It's all good things, all good things.
Yes.
And making room for more good things like breaking bread.
Thank you. Well, thank you for breaking bread with us.
Yes. If only I had a loaf of it right in front of me, I'd be digging in. I'm a little hungry.
So. There you go. I know. We should have done this at one of your food crawls.
I know. That makes sense. 7 Stars Bakery.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I know. Yeah, and the gingerbread muffins too.
Mm-hmm.
But really, thank you. I want to jump right in because we have so much ground to cover. A friend of mine mentioned the other day, it's like, hey, you need something done, you ask a busy woman.
I say that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I know a few busy women.
Yeah.
But when, for someone who may not know you, a casual observer, and they're looking at your social media and they're seeing you, eating out, putting reviews, at all these fabulous events, sometimes in glam. People don't quite realize the reality of what is happening behind the scenes. I used to travel a lot for work. I was in a corporate role where I had to be in New York, in San Francisco, and people didn't realize, like, the travel looks very glamorous, but the reality is you're up at 3 a.m. The only person who would be up when my Uber would be there would be my dog. And there's a very different reality behind that. So could you share a little bit of the behind the scenes of Jamie Coelho's glamorous life?
Sure. So, as you know, I'm the editor-in-chief at Rhode Island Monthly magazine, and I have been in this role as editor-in-chief for 4 years, but at the magazine for just over 14. And I started off covering a lot of restaurants because that's just what I loved. And we had kind of a vacancy in the food writing area when I first started. We had a food reviewer who was more formal, and she would go out and do like the food critic thing, but she took a step back from doing the more in-depth food packages. So I saw that as my way in. And even though I was doing a lot of work already with the front of the book section of the magazine, and I had taken over the food newsletter, so I saw this as a gateway to get to that next level that I really wanted, which was food and restaurant coverage. So I took on the work, and usually they would freelance it out and pay someone to do it. And I stepped up, and I was like, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. I'm willing to work really, really hard, and I'll save you the money of having to hire a freelancer to do it. So my boss at the time was like, really? You're going to take that on? And she was excited to like save money on the budget and also help to encourage someone who is passionate about the food and restaurants. So it was a lot of work because normally they would outsource that to someone else in the community. And I stepped up and then that was the gateway to the glamorous life that you're seeing on Instagram with the food and restaurant photos and interviewing chefs, things like that. It does seem like an amazing life, and it is. And in fact, I get requests every other day, like, can I be your assistant? Or do you need a +1? And things like that. So I never tire of having friends or family go along with me to try places. But it's just always been something I loved. And I like telling people stories. I like interviewing small business owners. I love going to talk with chefs and tell their stories. It comes after a long work day, though, because I work in the office every day, 5 days a week. And because I have 2 children, I shifted my hours. So I start my day really early at 7 a.m. so that I can leave by 3 p.m. to get home, to get them off the bus, because I always wanted to be there for my kids and not have to hire a babysitter to get them off the bus. And I don't necessarily have family who would do that for me. So I shifted my hours, and then, I will drive from Pawtucket, which is my office.
Yeah.
I live in the East Bay, so I'm driving that drive every day,
Right.
there and back, you know, and I get home and it's usually just like around 3:35, 3:45, right in time for the bus for my daughter. And then I will hang out with them for a bit, get dinner served, and then several nights a week I'm off again to a restaurant or to an event. And but I always make sure I get that FaceTime at home.
Yeah.
So I'm doing sometimes 2 trips to Providence in a day from the East Bay, and that's the part people don't see. They
That's
just
right.
see me showing up. They don't see the part of me driving to the office, working an 8-hour day, driving back home to my kids, getting them off the bus, making them dinner, getting them through homework, and then getting dressed and ready to go out the door again for a 6 or 7 p.m. Event or restaurant outing. And then I'm out sometimes till 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I really, on those days, I don't have any downtime. I don't have a minute to relax. And I just have to go to bed and wake up at 5:45 the next day and go back in the office. So in order to have all those great experiences at restaurants and events, it's, you know, you got to put in the work to earn it. And, you know, you work hard and those experiences do come to you, but they're long days. They're very long days. And I think, you know, being in hospitality, when you have a long day like that and you come home, you can't immediately go to sleep, right? No. You need to have that downtime. So sometimes I do have trouble settling down to sleeping, and you still have to go to work the next day, right? So it's hard, but it's amazing too.
That's great. No, I love how you've broken it down, because you have to just do it. And I think sometimes that's the gap between sort of the dreams and the hopes and the aspirations people may have, and the reality is you got to put in the work. I also love how you pitched the ROI to your boss in terms of, hey, this is like, we're going to save you money. So I love that sort of business case, because a lot of times you have to do that, whether it's in, you know, your industry or any industry.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes advocating for yourself, but also connecting the dots with, hey, here's how it helps the organization's goals. Is that cliched but true win-win. So I want to dig a little deeper. And by the way, thank you for letting us be on the other side, because usually you're asking the questions.
Normally I am interviewing people, so it's always a little bit daunting.
No, this is great. I to me, I'm not an interviewer, but I think anything that helps break leadership down, break down sort of workplace success, you know, help people build those competencies. I mean, that's the reason for existence for Breaking Bread. So we're just really grateful again to you for taking this time. I want to go back to something you said about being there for your kids when the bus comes to the stop. Because I've been in those situations as well, where there have been times where I've not been there, and there have been times where I've said no to a work thing, or literally run in Manhattan traffic. I had to run 2 blocks to Penn Station
to make your train.
to make it to my train, because if I didn't make that train, I would miss my daughter's recital.
I know that feeling. Yep.
It's like something out of a you know, holiday movie. But for all the folks out there, and I mean this not just for moms, but dads too. I have asked this question of dads as well. Is there such a thing as work-life balance?
I think there is, but it comes with a lot of sacrifice. And sometimes what I've learned is you're never going to make everyone happy. And it's hard to make everyone happy. And I have always been a yes person. I'm like, yes, I'll come to your event. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll be a Girl Scout troop leader, which I did this year. Yes, I will go meet you for coffee. Yes, I can fit in that lunch. Yes. And lately in the last year or so, I have learned that it is okay to say no, or to apologize. Okay, I'm not going to make it this time, but maybe we can do this another time, or things like that. It's hard too, because when you do get an invite to something a week in advance, it sounds like a good idea at the time. And then it rolls around and you're like, oh, I really should go to that event. but you might be completely exhausted. You might have had a crazy day at work. You might have had something come up with the kids or something you had to manage with them. And so lately I try to weigh my week and see what I have on the calendar. And I do get a lot of events requests and things to attend every single week. I try to pick 2 things between the work week, and 1 thing on the weekend. That's my strategy. And sometimes I get last minute requests, or something comes in that I wasn't expecting. I try to go back and evaluate. Okay, I made a commitment to this thing, so I don't want to cancel on that person, because that's your integrity too. That's like, you made a commitment to this event, so I'm not going to cancel it because something better came along. You know, and that, I think that also helps to solidify your reputation in the community by not being that person that cancels things too. So I try to pick 2 things per week, and I think that is helpful, and it's not too much of a burden on my family too. And having 1 thing during the week is easy to fit in between all the soccer practices and basketball or scouts, as my kids are involved in. I can usually work around the nights they have activities, and then 1 weekend event is usually like a gala or like visiting a restaurant or something like that. And a lot of those times I can include a friend or my husband to go along with me. So then you're building in time with the people you love too, but it's also like a work thing. So you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So that is just like one of the things that I think is important. But again, back to, you can't make everybody happy. I found that when I did get the book deal, Rhode Island Food Crawls, I had like about 6 months to write a book and another 6 months to put the whole thing together, which was a year. I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to put a lot of friend time to the back burner. And, you know, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows during that period, because some friends did slip through the cracks. And I did maintain like a lot of my great friendships, and those that were waiting for me to come back after this busy time in my life, like I knew that they were true friends. So that's just how it worked out. And then, you know, I'm better for it, and I feel like I have time for the friends and family members. And you know that when you spread yourself too thin, sometimes you're not able to be there for everybody, but the ones that understand will always be there for you.
I think that yes piece is so important, because sometimes it's just the nature of, you know, perhaps the industry, or, you know, I was raised in a military family. My father was in the army. So a lot of times it was also that sort of discipline and integrity thing. Like if you said something, like your name, your yes should stand for something, right? And having started in hospitality, you know, you didn't say no to guests, which is one thing. But I think as you start to sort of pivot into leadership roles, it's also important to understand, if you're saying yes to everything, you're saying no to something that could be really important, or yourself, and
your mental health load, or your kids, or you know, your husband, or you know, there's always someone who takes the brunt of that. You know, so it's never going to be 100%.
No, and you can. But I think it's just sometimes you need that day for yourself, or sometimes you just need a day to, you know, be in your pajamas with your kids.
That was Sunday, because was it Sunday night or was it Monday night? I think it must have been Monday night when the Aurora Borealis happened. I went to bed at 9:15 that night, and little did I know there was this once in a lifetime kind of thing going on outside my windows, and I slept right through it. And I was like, why didn't anyone wake me up? But I needed the rest.
You needed the rest.
So I do have early bedtimes here and there to make up for the late nights. And you know, Sundays in pajamas, reading a book or watching trash TV, you know, and I think self-care, it's such a buzzword, but working in that massage or a facial every once in a great while, or girlfriend time. Like girlfriend time is so important to me. It's like therapy. And then you can all strategize your lives and like try to figure out, you know, how to support each other and how to deal with adversity and things like that. And I think it's so important to build that in. So.
It honestly, so it's very interesting. When we started doing the Breaking Bread circles, the mentoring circles, we basically do peer group mentoring, right? And so we were really zooming in on leadership competencies and thinking, all right, we've got a group of 6 people. They're in similar type, you know, levels of experience. We're going to zoom in on leadership. We're going to break it down. Turns out, yes, they like that, but it was the peer support that they love, maybe even a little bit more, because you're not the only one going through a certain adversity, to your point, right? And when you have those shared experiences, it does boost your endorphins. And I can geek out on the whole neuroscience of that, but not very exciting podcast material. But it actually does boost your endorphins when you have that connection.
It's called debriefing. We call it a debriefing sesh.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's very helpful though. You know, and sometimes you feel like, okay, maybe I'm dwelling on the negative here, but I think getting it out helps, and then like helps you strategize to be better too. Figuring out how to deal with certain situations and just rise up from it too. So
that's exactly
talking it through, not keeping it inside sometimes.
So, because if not, then you know, it's going to be there, and then it's going to pop up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, and those nights we can't sleep because we are too wound up from the day, things like that. So
no, that's this is wonderful. So I wanted to go back to your book and the process, and I want to sort of zoom out from that to help folks get a bit more context, because you are editor-in-chief here at Rhode Island Monthly. Your mom to two children, you know, and we're similar in the sense that we don't have a lot of family locally in terms of pickups and drop-offs. So that's a very different ballgame.
Yep.
You are board chair of the Avenue concept. And not that those are not important enough accomplishments, but I personally love pretty powder road selfies.
Just add another thing into the mix,
it's
right?
So fun though. It's so fun. And I think your brain needs, like, you know,
it's a little vacation for me.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure it's not, because it is work, but it's like a fun little thing, right? And then throw in the book. So for those individuals who have big dreams, big goals, like, I want to do this, right? How did you do that?
Oh, so that came up. It was kind of a coincidence how it came up, because we had an internship program here at Rhode Island Monthly, and one of our interns went through the whole program. She was amazing, and she wrote about food and things like that. And then, as interns do, she went off into the world and got a job. And all of a sudden, one day I came into the office, turned on my email, and I had an email in there from her saying, "Oh, hi Jamie, this is Kate, and I got a job at Globe Pequot Press, which is a publisher in Connecticut." And she said, "I'm tasked with assigning all these statewide guides and called food crawls," and they had them all over the place, from New York City to Chicago to Boston, but they had yet to have one in Rhode Island. So she turned the tables on me and was like, "How do you feel about writing a book?" And I was like, oh my gosh. I looked at my schedule, and like, my kids are both very involved, and obviously I have this job, I have the board chair position. But the thing is, it was something that was always on my bucket list of things to do. Like, I've run a marathon, checked that off. I became editor of a magazine, checked that off. And I always had write a book on there. However, I thought I wasn't going to write until I was retired.
Right.
But when the opportunity comes up, sometimes you have to take it and just figure it out later. So I was like, I don't know when I'm going to have another opportunity to do this. I was like, now's the time, because I have all the research pretty much already done, because I've been dining out in the state for years and years. And I figured, okay, this might not be as big of a workload as I think, because I've already done the research. I have all the background for it. So I said yes, and then I explained later. And how did I fit it in? That's another thing. You know, again, it came down to prioritizing that, and that was the time period in my life. I only had 6 months to write it and another 6 months to put it all together. So during that 6 months, I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to prioritize my kids first, family, and then the book, job, all of that came first. So a lot of those other things that were like optional went to the back burner. And then I broke it down, like I did with training for a marathon. I think I've explained this to you before. When you're running a marathon, you need to run X miles a day, or like break it down by the week and figure out when you can fit in your short runs, when you can fit in your long runs. So I worked backwards, and I figured if I could write one chapter every 2 weeks, then by the 6 months I would be complete. So I looked at my schedule when I would have time to write, and oftentimes it was after the kids went to bed or weekends. So I tried to prioritize Sundays when my husband was home to be able to put in a good 6 hours of writing, and then maybe like 1 or 2 nights a week, a couple hours, and every week, like every other Sunday, usually it was like I'd have a commitment. So it was a matter of figuring which Sunday am I going to put in that time and which nights am I going to put in that time. And then just making sure I stuck to that schedule and going through it. And before I knew it, 6 months was here and I had pretty much stayed on schedule. I asked for a couple extensions.
Right.
Let me tell you, there's nothing like having an intern as your boss and flipping the tables on you to make you stand true to your word that you taught them, right? To stick to your deadlines. And so she was good. She kept me at it and was understanding, and I needed a little bit of extension, and somehow we got it done. And thank goodness for I always joke around that I needed to provide all the photos for the book too, and I was like, thank God. I went back into my Google Images. I said, thank goodness I photographed every single thing I've ever eaten because it was all right there in my searchable by location. And then I also had a lot of photographer friends, including our food photographer for the magazine, Angel Tucker, who provided a lot of photography for it too. So it was a project, but we got it done. And then once it was out the door and ready to be published, then I had a little bit more time to go back to the things that I missed. And then came all the book events and signings, which is even more work almost than writing sometimes, because that has been filling up my calendar lately. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So you start with the end in mind, you work back from that. And I think, again, sometimes it's like, yes, the big picture and the creative is great, but you've got to also just discipline calendaring, sticking to your calendar. Something as boring as that is what gets stuff done.
It does. It's break it down, take it piece by piece. It's kind of like how I live each day lately too. Right. It's like day by day, you know,
one step at
hour
a time.
by hour, and then you can accomplish a lot if you chip away at it. So
I'm trying to think of who I credit this with. I think this is Desmond Tutu. How to Eat an Elephant, one bite at a time. I
know, right? Yeah, that's what it felt like. I was like, oh, signing up for this book was a good idea at the time, but I slowly but surely tapped away on it. And same thing with the marathon though. It's like I never thought I would run a marathon until you stick to a training program, and then the next thing you know, you're crossing the finish line, and I love that feeling of just being proud of yourself. It's one thing to have people be proud of you, but like that feeling of being proud of yourself, like I actually did this, like I put my mind to it and challenged myself, and it's just like the best feeling in the world, right?
So, no, it's so important to celebrate yourself, because sometimes we can be overly critical of ourselves, and that's not a bad thing when you're trying to develop or build on who you are. But if we only spend a little bit more time celebrating ourselves too, oh my gosh, how great would that be?
Yeah, I think it's important to do that and treat yourself, as they say, right? I think like building in little rewards for yourself to break it up when you're in the monotony is helpful too. So a little sweet treat, or like, a little spa day, things like that are all helpful. Or friend time. Friend time is really, that's what I'm looking at lately.
And I also like your strategy of kind of dovetailing things, because I do have your book, and I was like, that's it. Yeah, like friend time, and check out one of her book food crawl locations, so you can kind of do both together.
So anytime I have something to cover for work, I sign my husband or a friend to go along, and then you get the time with them, and then also work things. So
you've got to
now my kids go with me to stuff, so that's fun. Even my little son, he's 12. He has a love for food, and he started doing like burger reviews at the table just naturally. I was like, hey, we should do this like on video and make a little thing for you. And he's like, what? And so we ended up. He was totally into it. We'd go to like Chomp or They're There, and he'd be like talking about the burgers. So I was like, hold on a second, let's get this. And he loves it. He likes participating in it.
Great.
He's the Hamburglar boy on Instagram now.
I love it.
So you get the kids involved. You get the kids involved with what you're doing. They see a day in your life too. And then they maybe feel inspired by it also. So
I think that builds that, whether it's work ethic or passion, or whether it's just a little creative outlet for the kids too. I think that's great.
Yeah, and my daughter, she's really into art, so that's where the Avenue concept comes in. Because it's the public art organization with all the giant murals all over the city, and the sculptures. So I've taken her out for little tours of all the artwork and taken her photo in front of it. And she's not a sports girl. She's really into crafting. So she is inspired by that and has been creating some really cool little clay sculptures and things like that out of that air dry clay.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
little
yeah.
tiny animals.
Yes.
So when I had a book event recently, I bring her along with me to some of the talks and to the libraries and to like book fair things, and she'll be there right with me. She's a little bit anxious, so she doesn't like to be visible, but she just started to like craft her little clay animals and put them out on the table, and she wanted to like start collecting money for it. I'm like, what can we do with that money? Well, we're going to donate it to like the animal shelter. And she said, but kitties only, no dogs. So, but yeah, involving your kids in the things that you're doing is a great way to also, you know,
100%.
do two things at once and
I love that.
multitask. Yeah.
You're reminding me, when my daughter was younger, she loved crafting, and my house was always covered in glitter.
Well, no
matter the season.
You're never gonna get it out.
No, you never do. You never. Not that there's anything wrong with glitter, but no, I think we finally are. We've suddenly gone from like glitter to a whole other stage now. But so following up to the, you can't be everything to everyone. And you shared how you really took a lot of time with the book, but now you are prioritizing more so with your kids. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, Jamie?
Yeah, so it felt like during the time period where I was writing the book, I kind of had to like be away from them on weekends to do the writing, things like that. So once the book was done, I was like, okay, they're only going to be this little today, right? They're 9 and 12, and full disclosure, my daughter has been dealing with anxiety since she was like in kindergarten, and she was diagnosed with selective mutism, which means that she will not speak in the classroom setting unless it's one-on-one with a teacher or a very small intimate group. So I've been navigating that with her for several years, and everyone would always say, oh, she'll grow out of it, she's just shy. But then, when she was 8, we realized, okay, maybe this is not just a shy thing. So we ended up taking her to Hasbro for testing and going through all the processes to get her an IEP, and it took years. And then once the book was finished, I was like, okay, now I need to focus on her. Right. So she has trouble also like making intimate friendships in school. So at this point, I was like, she doesn't like sports. She would like stand on the soccer field and not move. Like she would literally stand there, and she didn't like people staring at her. I was like, I'm not forcing her into any sports like that. Same thing with dance. We tried that, and she would stand there and just did not want the attention on her. So I figured, what could she do? And then Girl Scouts came up. So I was like, let me see if I can get her into a Girl Scout troop. But unfortunately, all of them were filled up. So then I went to my friend who also has a daughter the same age, and I was like, hey, what do you think about, finding a Girl Scout troop for the girls? And then we found out there aren't any available. So we took it upon ourselves to start our own. And then from there, it's been wonderful. We have a small group of 12 girls. It's very intimate. It's like the kind of setting that is so welcoming and kind and understanding too. And we're building that into these 12 little girls. And they all understand, like Kinsey might not talk right away, but they interact with her through art and projects and selling cookies. And she may not ask the customer like what kind of cookies they want, but she'll hold the bag to like for them to put the cookies in, and it's really teaching her a lot. And in order to be able to do the Girl Scout troop leading, I had to go to my employer here at Rhode Island Monthly and ask for flexibility so that I could leave work to go run the meeting with my friend. So I arranged to be flex with my hours, leave at 2:30 so I can get there for 3:15 and to run the meeting. It's like once every 2 weeks, and I found that such a supportive environment to work to enable me to do that and to spend the time with my daughter. But get back to like how we are not like a mirror image of our kids either. Like people know me as an outgoing social person, and so when they do meet her and they say hello and she doesn't respond, it's very hard. Like I don't want it to come across as rude, but I try to like explain, oh, we're really working on meeting new people, and she has an anxiety disorder. I'm very open about it, just so they know it's not that she's not acknowledging your presence. It's just that she physically can't. And then I had to, get her into therapy. So I have
Mm-hmm.
now on Fridays, I work remotely and a therapist comes to the house
Mm-hmm.
to work with her because, as she approaches those teenage years, we know that it's only going to get harder, and I need to, spend that time with her now and help her through this so that she can learn to manage the anxiety too. So, mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
This is so important, and I am honestly so grateful that you shared this, because the more we have these conversations, the more we destigmatize things. Where if if my back was hurting, I would
Mm-hmm.
have no issues telling you, "Hey, my back's hurting, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go see my doctor,"
Right,
right?
right.
But for some reason, whether it is, our brains, our emotions, it's still a topic that we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for talking about this, and helping bring light to it, because that is also, Jamie,
Mm-hmm.
that is also part of your life.
Yeah, and
Understanding.
anxiety is
Yeah.
very prevalent, I
Yeah.
think, with anybody now. I
Yeah.
think it doesn't matter if you're a kid or you're an adult. It's like anxiety is a major thing these days too. We're all handling a lot.
That's right. And we learn differently.
Mm-hmm.
We communicate differently,
Mm-hmm.
and just helping accept and understand and make space for those differences is amazing. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that you shared that, because it also empowers others to understand that, not just advocating for yourself, but also your kids and your peers is
Absolutely.
important.
And a supportive workplace is like integral to making that happen too. So if employers can be more subjective and like flexible with their workers, they'll have much happier work, like staff as well, I think.
100%.
So, 100%. Yeah.
So Jamie, oh my gosh, thank you so much, for this amazing conversation, for breaking bread with us. And now we have to actually like find time, between our calendars to just open up your crawls and actually go and break bread at those fabulous places that you
Actually, you are in one of the crawls. That's right. Remember we went to Lotus Pepper? That picture is from that lunch we had, remember? So yeah. We'll do it again for sure.
Let's do it again.
That's so fun.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.